You know, some stories in sports, they just feel different. They feel like they were written in Hollywood. They've got the perfect beginning, a crazy, dramatic middle, and an ending that just ties it all together beautifully. Today, we're diving into what might just be the most complete story of them all.
So what really writes a legend's story? Is it just about the trophies, the records, or is it about the struggles you have to overcome to get there?
Well, for Lionel Messi, it all kicked off with a single piece of paper. Because before he was this global icon, he was just a kid whose dream was about to get cut short. And his entire future, it literally depended on a promise that was scribbled on a napkin.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to follow his journey from a career-threatening diagnosis to building an absolute dynasty. From carrying the weight of his entire nation to finally capturing that one prize that always eluded him and forging a legacy in fire. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so our story starts in Rosario, Argentina. We've got this young kid with an absolutely ridiculous amount of talent, but that talent was matched by a huge medical obstacle that was standing right in his way.
So at a really young age, Messi gets diagnosed with growth hormone deficiency. The treatment for this was incredibly expensive, so expensive that his family and the local clubs in Argentina just couldn't afford it. The dream was basically on the verge of dying before it even had a chance to start.
And then FC Barcelona steps in. And they do it with a level of commitment that was frankly unheard of. This wasn't just some contract, it was a lifeline. A club director was so blown away by this kid's talent that he famously secured the deal on a napkin. But it gets better. The club agreed to pay for his entire hormone treatment and even moved his family to Spain. They didn't just sign a player, they invested in a person's health, their future. They basically became his savior.
And oh man, did that investment pay off. I mean, in a way that nobody could have possibly imagined. See, Messi didn't just join Barcelona, he completely rewrote their history.
The real turning point came when manager Pep Guardiola arrived. He built his whole revolutionary tiki-taka system around Messi, moving him into this central role called the false nine. It meant Messi could drop a little deeper, create absolute chaos, pull defenders all over the place, and just open up space for himself and everyone else. This little tactical switch didn't just unlock his potential, it unleashed a force of nature. It led Barcelona to the historic sextuple in 2009, winning all 6 trophies they played for in a single year. Insane.
And that was just the beginning. Over the next 2 decades, Messi became the absolute heart and soul of that club, leading them to a staggering 35 major trophies. That's more than any other player in the entire history of Barcelona.
Just look at these numbers for a second. A record 778 appearances for one club. That alone is incredible. But then you pair that loyalty with 10 league titles and 4 Champions Leagues, it just shows a level of sustained, relentless excellence that you almost never see in sports. But Messi's story isn't just about what he won with his team. For over a decade, he and one other guy were locked in this epic battle for the title of the world's best player.
The Messi-Ronaldo rivalry, it defined an entire generation of football. You had the quiet magician, this playmaker and dribbler with just unparalleled genius. And then you had the other guy, the powerful, relentless athlete and goal-scoring machine. Together, they pushed the sport to a level of brilliance we had never seen before.
And the ultimate scorecard in the rivalry was the Ballon d'Or, the award for the best player on the planet. And in this particular arena, Messi carved out a pretty clear edge. I mean, Ronaldo winning it 5 times is incredible. But Messi, he set a record that might honestly never be broken, winning it 8 times and cementing his place as the most decorated individual player ever.
And yet, for all the club trophies, for all the individual awards, there was this one giant, glaring hole in his story, a shadow that followed him everywhere he went, his career with Argentina.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? This was the central conflict of his entire career. For years, he suffered these heartbreaking losses in major finals with the national team. And this narrative started to take hold. Yeah, he's a legend for Barcelona, but for Argentina, he just can't deliver the big one. It was a one criticism he could never seem to escape, the piece of the puzzle that was always missing.
So as his career started to enter its final chapters, the quest became singular. It wasn't about records anymore, it wasn't about club titles. It was about one thing and one thing only, glory with Argentina.
And then it happened. In 2021, he leads Argentina to a victory in the Copa America, their first major trophy in 28 years. The curse was broken.
Then, 1 year later, at the 2022 World Cup, he captains his country in one of the most thrilling, most dramatic finals you will ever see, finally lifting the one trophy he wanted more than anything else. And not one trophy, it did more than just add to his collection. For millions of people, it was the final piece of validation. It ended every single debate and cemented his legacy forever. It turned him from a great player into a national hero who delivered on the biggest stage of all.
And look, he didn't just win it, he completely dominated. He scored in every single knockout round game, a feat of unbelievable consistency under the highest pressure imaginable. He finished with 7 goals and was, of course, named the tournament's best player, winning the Golden Ball. He didn't just ride to victory, he carried his nation there on his back.
So, when you step back and you put all of these pieces together, what does this story look like? Well, it looks like one of the most complete, most perfect narratives that sports has ever given us. I mean, just think about the arc of this story. A boy overcomes a growth disorder thanks to a club that becomes his family. He then becomes that club's greatest player of all time, he dominates all the individual awards, and then after years and years of national heartbreak, he completes his career by winning the one trophy that truly matters most, all while being anchored by this really stable, low-profile family life with his childhood sweetheart. It's perfect.
It is a journey that takes him from a doctor's office in Argentina, where his dream was literally at risk of ending, all the way to a podium in Qatar, where he lifted the World Cup and fulfilled not just his own destiny, but the hopes of an entire nation.
It's got everything, right? The personal struggle, the professional dominance, the defining rivalry, that agonizing flaw, and then, finally, the ultimate redemption. It really makes you ask the question, is there any other athlete story out there with a more perfect, a more complete narrative arc than this one?